Hey, Jill. Welcome to the Plan to Prosper Small Business Academy. We're a group of ragtag entrepreneurs who learn more to earn more. Can you teach us something today? Are you available for that?
I think so. I think that I have made this my passion, which when you take your passion and make it your purpose, eventually it will become your profession. So I think this is where my life journey is going to take me, is inspiring others to do what I've done. So
I love it. I love it. So I know you are an attorney. Is there a retainer required? Just please let us know up front because we will pass
no,
the hat.
not for this. I know
Okay.
this is free. This is me giving you some good quality advice for free. So
Well, we appreciate that. So tell us, Jill, who are you, and what do you do?
yes, thank you. So I am an attorney. As you heard, I am licensed in Texas and Utah. I hail from Salt Lake City right now, where I have been practicing now as a family law attorney for almost 15 years. And I kind of have an unorthodox journey, but I kind of worked my way up from a small firm into the big firm, which is why it's a little bit backwards. But I was at the big firm recognizing that I was never going to be able to shine in who I am and what I'm able to deliver working for other people. And so I took the brave leap and started Coil Law almost 7 years ago. And I've now grown it into a multi-million dollar business. I like to say business, law, not law firm, because a lot of lawyers run law firms and not businesses, and that's their first mistake. But I've also now considered myself an entrepreneur. I run 5 businesses, including real estate, and I'm always looking for that next adventure, that next thing that challenges me and allows me to use my skills to grow.
So is what you do the exact area you were working in when you were at the firm, at the big firm?
Yeah, so I was the family law attorney at this big firm. Over 100 attorneys worked for that firm, and I have been doing family law, divorces, paternity now for almost 15 years. So I took that, and I wanted to be one of those masters of one, not somebody that just does okay and everything. So I started Coil Law, and all we do is divorce. We are divorce pros, but we're not pro divorce.
I might need to know a little something about that, but we'll get into that later. So tell me about the new venture where you're launching the tech project that you're doing. The what is it? It's
Yeah,
simple endings. Please tell us
simple
about
ending.
that.
Yeah. So, when you get into a field, the most inspiring and successful entrepreneurs are the people that are working in the field and recognize that there is a space of something that could improve upon, something that needs to be done because it's not being done or it's not being done well. And what I've recognized in my space is that over 60% of all people that get divorced, and mind you, 50% of all marriages end in divorce. So that's a lot of people don't use attorneys. So they reach out to these online platforms or mediators to try to somehow do their divorce cheaply. And it sucks. Everything
Hmm.
out there has not been designed with the user in mind. It's just not done well, and there's a lot of complications to that. Lawyers can't partner with non-lawyers. It's in our ethics bylaws. So it's for a lawyer to start an online law firm and then try to get seed money, there's all these problems from it. So I saw that problem and I said, how can I fix it? And so, because I was being successful in my career as a lawyer running a law firm, I decided to invest in hiring engineers to create our own interface that is going to be the most elevated form builder for divorce. And eventually, our interface is really going to be able to help all attorneys in all their areas. But for now, we're really focusing on being able to have a user answer a bunch of questions for their divorce and get attorney quality documents at the end that can stand up in court. And that kind of spurred simple ending. And we're so close to getting our tech done and to launching beta. So we're really, really excited.
So how scary is that entrust technical people to take on your baby? Is that scary or?
It is scary, but the one thing that advice I can give to our listeners is you have to protect yourself. You have to understand
Mhm.
that, especially in this tech space, that it's ever moving, it's ever changing. You do have to trust. So you do a lot of things to protect yourself. Make sure your employees are signing non-disclosures, that all the tech that is developed is owned by the company and not by the developers. And make sure that you have happy developers, because when they're happy, they're excited about their product project as well. And I went in it not wanting to have my blinders on. I talked to attorneys, I read books, I really wanted to go in with the best knowledge I could. Now, don't get me wrong, I've made so many mistakes.
Tell us about
And
them.
and I'm gonna write that book one day about what not to do when you want to start a tech firm, because I'm not I'm not a business person. I didn't get my MBA. I am a lawyer by trade. So, you know, understanding, like, I wrote an amazing business plan. It was so good. I loved it. People believe in it. But what I didn't realize is, hey, what is the first person, the most important person you need when you're starting a tech space and stuff like that? And I didn't go down through that. I was like, oh, we need a developer that understands my idea and can say, yeah, I can design that. It doesn't necessarily work like that. So you really want to do your research on making sure you know the crucial parts that you need to develop your product, especially if you're bringing in a product that needs to be designed from ground zero.
Understood. So, as a divorce attorney, do you primarily serve females, males, or is it a mixture?
So it's interesting. I started my career in father's rights. So I worked with fathers primarily. When I went to the big firm, that was when I started shifting and doing more equal. And here at Coil Law, we represent any client that wants to be advocated for. So I would say we're pretty equal in representing both spouses.
Because I asked that question because a lot of my listeners and those who are members of the Academy are female entrepreneurs who may be coming out of marriages or starting over. What advice would you give to women who feel as though like they might be downtrodden or a little depressed or not have the best confidence? They might have been out of the work force for a while. What advice would you give them as an attorney and an entrepreneur as about what you've seen? You've seen clients come through that. What would you advise them if they wanted to start a business?
Great question. I mean, I wrote a book on it.
Oh, we'll put that in the show notes.
So
What?
no one dies from divorce.
Oh, I love
How
it.
to survive and thrive when your marriage ends. Because I've been saying this all along, that we've been using the word divorce as like the shame thing. Like, we're so shamed that we're getting divorced or that we are part of this. And so we use it as this, like, oh, something must be wrong with me.
Mm,
Mentality has to change. When so many people are getting divorced, we need to shift it to a movement and recognize that this is a clean platform for you to develop into the person you deserve to be, your best self. And so many times in our marriages and our bad relationships, we forget that the number one person we should be serving and taking care of is ourself.
yes.
Because when you're your whole self, you're able to take care of everybody else. But women especially suck at this. I mean, we are
Yes.
just bad at it. We put our head down, we take care of everybody else, our kids, and we just forget what we are. In my book, I talk about it that we forget to dream. Like when you're a kid, like, you used to daydream and think, I want to be the next president of the United States. I want to do this. And we get as adults and we stop dreaming. We're like, oh, this is my life. This is my lot. This is what I have to accept. And I say, bull. I'm going to call bull crap
It's
on that. I
bull.
won't swear. So what I would give advice to these women is absolutely use this opportunity to become the best version of yourself. And if that means you decide you're going to start your own business, heck yes, I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader, because right now is the time for you to recognize you're worthy of it, you're deserving of it, you're smart enough for it. And today, it's all about taking care of yourself first, because then you're going to be a whole person to take care of everybody else.
And I find that we as women, we have been doing this for the other people in our lives, many times for free. We're always serving at the PTA, at the church, even the family. If your child wants to be the rock star on the basketball team, even though they ride the bench, you're at every game. So we're very equipped at doing that. I just don't know if we always see the value or even knowing what we are good at or what we want to do beyond serving others. Because
Yeah.
even if you stay married, the kids are gonna grow up, and people are gonna get other hobbies, and you got to do that. So I think that's sometimes the biggest challenge for me as a business coach, to get people to make the turn, to open up the possibilities. So I appreciate you saying that. But we definitely are gonna put that book, the link to it, in the show notes. You're gonna have to come back because we're gonna have to talk about it. We need some case studies after we read the book, to really talk about really some of the transformations that have happened for some of those who have read the book. I'm so excited. So tell me, you're located in Utah. So tell me, how's the weather out there? We're on the East Coast. I mean, I'm outside of the nation's capital, Washington D.C. So how is the weather out there? How is the climate? How have y'all made it through COVID? Tell me all about that.
Oh my gosh. Well, it snowed today and it's April 12th. So I don't know when this is going to. So that was like all of the cherry blossoms were coming out the last week, which I'm sure they're going crazy
Yes.
in Washington, D.C. right now. And it was beautiful. And then we just had this cold front. So it is so cold. That's kind of like Utah. Like our springs, like you never know when winter's going to be over. It
Does it
takes
get
a while. And
hot?
then all of a sudden,
Does it get hot in the summer?
it gets hot, but not what you are dealing with because it's
Okay.
like it could get 95 degrees, but it's a dry heat. So, like, you can survive it. You can go outside in it. Like, you're fine. Like, maybe don't want to go running forever in it, but because it's hot, but it's nothing like I lived in Washington D.C. for a semester in law school or in my undergraduate, and I remember being so cold because the humidity is just different, it just affects you differently.
I understand. So how did you manage your small business during COVID and people teleworking? How did you work that out?
I think COVID was one of the best things for small businesses if you were able to understand the benefits you could get from it. I mean, I had employees that went virtual and we recognize that they don't need to be in the office and they love it. So their quality of life and their work relationship has flourished and they are succeeding better by being able to work from home. Virtual meetings have just become a thing of the now, and which it should. Like I'm able to connect with more people where I think we're getting the same meaningful relationship as
Yes.
if you were sitting in my office. And then I've been healthy for 2 years because I have not been around people. Like, I haven't had to go to court. Like, I'm not suffering with colds. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've gone to trial and I've been sick, like either from the stress or just being around people.
Wow.
And through COVID, it's like I'm at my office. I've got I'm no stress. It's like get down to business. I've got, my team here to help me. So it's been really, really good. The other thing is if you have a business and you didn't take part in all of the things the government was giving you, all the PPP or the EIDL stuff, I mean, what were you doing? Like the government was on point in helping small business owners, and if you wonder why our economy is doing what it's doing right now, it is because of that, and we should be grateful for that. I know that there's a lot of complaints, oh, I can't find workers. You just got to pay them well and treat them well. Like, I think that this is recognized that we need to get out of this state of I'm going to pay as little as possible to get as much out of somebody. We need to start recognizing that we're going to pay for what people are worth. And we've been really bad at that as this country, as a nation. And so I think COVID has helped people realize that. And people are now earning the money that they deserve. And companies are saving money
That's
because you can have at home now workers. People are motivated to work better because their environment is a little bit better. There's a lot of benefits that have come from it.
Especially for female workers and female entrepreneurs, sometimes we're afraid to charge. Part of the what I find when because I'm looking at the financial side, part of the reason why people want to pay the least is because they're not charging even what they're worth to cover the expenses of their business. I always tell people that your taxes and your expenses are none of your business. That's your customer. You're supposed to charge. They're supposed to be paying those things. So
Yeah.
I think it's a cyclical thing. Like you don't charge enough, so then you only want to pay somebody $25 to build a whole website. I mean, it's kind of it's a cycle, but I think it's about women understanding our worth, and it's not even about degrees. It's not even about education, but whatever you're in, that you charge what you worth. Or do you have a hard time sometimes, even in your work with the working with people, to make them especially women, to understand their worth and be able to stand and ask for what is due to them? Do you find
I
that it's challenging?
I think that you hit that right on the head is that women, I think, are sometimes struggle in entrepreneurship because they don't ask and they don't believe they're worthy or deserving. I learned early on in my business that if I did not expect the same from everybody, I was going to be used to the T. People will use you as a woman. So I now have you want to talk to me, you want to sit, you will make an appointment and you will pay for my time. Because I'm worth that. No
Yes.
more friends texting me and saying, "Hey, Jill, can you talk to me for 10 minutes at night?" Because you know that 10 minutes turns into an hour and then it's a consultation. I don't do that anymore. I absolutely know my value. And if you want to talk to me, you're going to do what everybody else would do. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, but I don't want to hurt relationships." In fact, you know what that does? That earns respect. And it hasn't hurt my company at all. In fact, I mean, I've grown 7 times since I started.
I
So
agree. I get the DM. So I have a link in my iPhone notes that has my scheduling link. And so I go in there, copy it, and send it to the DM or to the text or to whatever. Because those people on the flip side, they want money, but they don't want to pay money. So I think you teach people how to treat you. So I did not, I promise you, Academy members, I did not feed her a script. We She's saying the things that I always preach. And even before our interview, I had a call, and the young lady was shocked about, we're talking about how much she needs to charge to live, to do her business and live. And I said, look at all these expenses that you're incurring to provide this service, and you're not going to be able to survive any other way. And so, people are going to say that those aren't your customers, baby. Those aren't your customers. And so I appreciate you echoing that sentiment. So I'm not the only one saying it. So I'm gonna call you
no,
sometime and just say, "Go, Jill," and you just go ham. And
we could be friends because I am always looking for other female women that are ready to have this movement of shouting to other women like, "You are worthy." And why are women so struggle so hard to be the ones to support other women? Like,
yes,
we have to scream louder than everybody else. And we get told we're emotional and that we're not good enough. I mean, you want to be an entrepreneur and get seed money? Like, you better have a friend, because as a woman it is extremely difficult. Like, why wouldn't you want me on your side to help you maneuver that and to know that there are other women out there that are going to lead the movement to get us equal? I mean, if you're one of those women sitting, "Well, women have it equally in the workplace," you're lying.
no, no,
You're lying, and you haven't been out in the workplace to see how hard, like me and you, have had to fight for where we're at right now. And
exactly.
I'm going to pull people with me. I'm going to be like, "You can do it. You can do it, but you have to be brave. You have to take so much criticism." I can't tell you how many names I've been told. And I'm in a man profession, like in this Utah especially, like, 30% are women. Like, I get told all the time, like, I get called little Missy, or or
Sweetie, sweetie.
sweetie, or I get all that. And I just turn around and I say, "Really? Would you really?" Like, And then I go to court and I beat them because I'm better at my job than them.
Because we have
We're
to be
always,
better. We have
yeah,
to be
we're
better.
always going to have to stand up and be better and be louder. And I still, in this state of Utah, get told I'm not enough or I'm not good enough. I have the biggest family law firm in the state. And I still have women at the top in like, their little power positions wanting to say, oh, look, or how did she do this? Or, like, and I'm like, good. I don't need you. I don't need any of that recognition. I'm going to prove to all of you haters, that I did this because I'm deserving and I'm worthy of it. And that's what I want to tell everybody else, that they can have that as well.
So one of the challenges I have in the academy is one of the foundational courses I have, accounting basics for entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs, please talk about the importance of understanding your numbers and understanding. You can say that you're worth it, but if you don't understand what you're reading, you don't know. So tell me about how understanding your financials has played in growing your business.
It's so funny because I just went to a lunch with another woman that's a lawyer in Salt Lake City. I had never met her, but she's a small lawyer, but she's been practicing for 20 years. And she's telling me how she's just like, she found me and she's seen what I've done and she just wanted to know. So I started rattling off all of these. I said, so what's your retention? How many I was like, how many clients do you have? How much money? How much are your collections? Blah, blah, blah. And I just started going off of it. And she was like, oh, I don't know. I probably can't give you that statistic. And I was like, you don't even know what your company is worth right now. So you don't know how much, because she says she's having a problem finding an associate to come work with her. And I said,
Mm,
do you even know what your value is that you can offer an associate? I was like, right now it's hard to find quality employees. You have to be willing to pay them, but you
yes.
can't pay them if it's going to bankrupt your company or if you don't have the backbone of whatever you're doing to be able to bring in the clients. And she was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. I was like, because you might need that attorney right now, but if you don't have a trajectory of getting clients in the future, that employee is going to become a liability because you won't be able to pay them. And
Correct.
so it's just, if you want to run a business, if you want to grow it, you have to know your numbers. And one of the most important things I can tell you is stay in your lane, right? I'm not a CPA. I'm not an MBA. The first person I hired when I started my firm was a CPA, and he got my books in order and he got everything set up. Because with lawyers, we got all these weird rules and we got to make sure we don't violate them or we could get disbarred, right? I was like, I'm not going to do that. I made sure that I was covered by insurance. So I got those experts involved. I wanted to make sure that, I had space in my leases. So I'm really good at this, but I know, well, I'm really good at knowing what I'm not good at. And so now, as I run a company that has 23 employees, I have a COO. Most people would be like, "Oh, I don't have a COO. Like I can't afford that." And I'm like, he's worth every dollar for his expertise of what it means to run a business. And so it's looking at those areas where you are lacking, because if you want to start a company where you're selling mugs, that's amazing. Do you know how to sell mugs? Do you know how to get into Amazon? Do you know how to price point your product? Do you know the best place to find manufacturers? Do you know how to negotiate a lease? Most people are going to be like, I don't know how to do any of that. Well, get a coach. Yeah.
Coaching is valuable. And I
Yeah.
wanted to even swing back to something you mentioned earlier. You talked about PPP and other programs that were out there, and people were coming to me and some of my counterparts at the ninth hour saying, I need you to put together some financials for me. I'm like, that you're supposed to stay ready, not get you. It was
Yeah.
for the businesses who were ready to take advantage of that. Or some people were paying people under the table, so they didn't have employees to report. It's so you're blowing my mind in what you're saying because I'm not saying it. Thank God. Thank God. So I think
Yeah.
that sometimes, even as so speaking to women, since we're yelling at women today, we're not yelling in a bad way. We're kind of motivating the importance of having that is not so you can get ready, is that you stay ready all the time. And you have a dashboard to look at to know how much money it costs you to acquire a client, or if you can afford an employee. Because you can't just look at the balance in your bank account, which many businesses do. That means you can pay them this pay period, but beyond this, what is your return on investment? So I really appreciate you echoing some of those things. And I'm honored by your presence just because of just your attitude. Like, you got a lot of swag that's coming through that we as women need to hear. We really do. We really need to hear the straight talk, no chaser. Where people keep saying, "Well, I'm not a money person. I'm not a." Then you should have stayed at your job. That's hard to say. When you're an employee, you don't have to worry about those things. But if you want to come into entrepreneurship, you got to know what's going on, including the legal stuff, including your terms and conditions and when you get a refund. I even listen to this. Listen, so I even have to teach like a little bit on business law, because if someone pays you $15,000 for a coaching program, even if it says no refund, but you gave them nothing, that's theft.
Yeah.
You just took money from them. It doesn't matter that you said no refund policy. You didn't deliver all of the months of coaching. So even just understanding business is just so important. And because you're a lawyer and a CPA doesn't exempt you from that. We have to, one of the tasks that I hate is doing my accounting. I have an accountant.
No, it's true. It's true.
So I appreciate it. So tell me where we can get your book. We're going to put the link up, the divorce book. So tell me where we can get that. Is it on Amazon? Where is it?
Yeah, so my book is on Amazon. Easiest way to get it. No One Dies from Divorce. I have a podcast called No One Dies from Divorce as well, which gives you episodes every week with really good information about divorce, whether you're thinking about it, going through it, or afterwards. And then you can find me on all things Jill Coil. So you can find me on jillcoil.com. You can find me on my Instagram, Jill Coil, and all the information is in my link tree. So, but yeah, it's been a joy. I love this topic because I've gone through, I've been doing this for 15 years and it's taken me 15 years to get here. And I love it when I can talk to somebody, because so many entrepreneurs, they get that, oh, it's going to happen, I can do it. They see Shark Tank and they're like, oh yeah, I can do that. But what they don't realize is the blood, sweat, tears, money that got them to that position. And it's not easy. I agree. I just wanted to say one last thing, that I completely agree with you that majority of businesses fail.
Yes.
And there's a reason for that, because there's a bunch of people that want to start because they want the American dream, but they don't understand the work that goes into it. And it's hard. And you have to have some kind of grit that most people would say, you're crazy.
I have a theory on that. I think that is why some people hate their jobs, because they don't respect it as a business.
Yeah.
They just know that somebody's telling them to do stuff, telling them to show up, but they didn't see that enterprise as a business that had expenses and they needed people to actually work who they're paying or whatever it is. So you're going to go and create the thing that you hate. You're going to create a business that I don't get it. I don't get it. So that's my weird theory. I don't know if it's true, but I think that sometimes people don't recognize business everywhere. So when I tell people, when they come through my course, you're going to see business everywhere. Like when you go to McDonald's, you can be like, oh, that's why they can only give me 2 ketchups, because it's extra cost. You're gonna really be a business person. So I thank you for joining us. We're going to have all of your information in the show notes, but I am a little more full because you've been here today. And I appreciate you and your presence, your energy as a female entrepreneur, as a kick-ass lawyer. I'm thinking if something go down, I need Jill to represent me, because I think if she comes.
I love it. I love it.
So thank you very much. And come again, please.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.